When I was a student in 93 or 4, I had this idea of doing a film that was based on Akira Kurosawa's film Rashomon. It's a film made in the 50s by this Japanese well-known filmmaker. And Rashomon speaks of the rape of a woman and the murder of her husband. And it's recounted by 5 protagonists, including the dead himself. And I wanted to transpose this story in the Lebanese Civil War, which lasted from 75 till 91. And it's called Here and Perhaps Elsewhere. What I'm interested in is the process of memory. What happens when you ask a question to someone on an event that may have happened 15 or 20 or 25 years ago? What comes out or what cannot come out or what refuses to come out because of some people's refusal to deal with it? I wanted to write my own story based on this notion of relative truth that I found extremely interesting in Rashomon. So I would walk in the street of Beirut around what used to be the dividing line, which was a green line dividing East and West Beirut. A bit like in Berlin, you had checkpoints and you had passage point where you could cross from east to west or west to east. And so a lot of the kidnapping happened on these checkpoints and based on identity, because you had your religion or your sect written on your identity card. And I would stop at this former checkpoint and ask the inhabitants if they recognize the place. And asking throughout the journey the same question: do you know of anyone who was kidnapped here during the Civil War? And that question would trigger a lot of stories, not just about kidnapping, but about stories of death, stories of disappearance. So the question acts as a device and trigger to a process of memory. And as much as I knew that there were a lot of dramatic stories, I did not know how much or how many stories I would assemble. And it was impressive. There was not one street where I would walk where there wasn't a drama, etc. And of course, this interest came from a personal drama in my family. My uncle was kidnapped, my mother's brother. And so this personal drama had, of course, led me also to be interested in the question. And in Here and Perhaps Elsewhere, there is something always about these personal stories that in a way are an attempt to reflect on this collective history and at the same time to show the impossibility to have one truth about these wars.